This is The Herd. Wherever you may be and however you may be listening, we're live in Los Angeles on iHeartRadio, Fox Sports Radio, and FS1. All sorts of interesting guests in 15 minutes. Great coach for the Kansas City Chiefs, Andy Reid, stops by. Steve Berline today had those controversial thoughts about Andrew Luck. Not necessarily controversial in my opinion. Many thought they were. Jason Whitlock stops by. Jason McIntyre. Joy Taylor is joining me. I've got my cowboy colors on today. I am ready to go and lead my show with Dallas talk.
What better to lead the show with?
What better? The Dallas Cowboys have become a very functional team. Now, they haven't won Super Bowls, but I've been saying this for the last couple of years. They're a lot smarter than we think. Jerry sometimes has the ego and the vanity, but if you look at their drafting over the last 6 or 7 years, oh, my friends, it has been unbelievable. Even when they make trades, Amari Cooper, oh, my word, that's good. They found their franchise quarterback in the 4th round. Dallas is a really well-run football team. Most of the analytic sites say Dallas has the first or second best roster in the NFL of under 25-year-old talent. Now, sometimes they look like a little bit of a clown show because of all this and that and craziness, but Jason Garrett steady, drafting Stephen Jones steady, offensive line fantastic. This is an organization that looks at details. Okay, they find their quarterback in the 4th round. Their offensive line has been the best in the league. Details. Anybody notice something with the Cowboys? This defense is interesting. In the preseason, they've been dominating. They've been the 3rd best defense in the preseason. Last year, they were the 6th best defense in the NFL. And they haven't done it with easy fixes. In fact, I'm going to give you the last 6 years of the Cowboys' defensive ranks. This is fascinating. Last, 19th, 17th, 14th, 8th, and 7th. This is not a business organization that's going for a quick fix. Through smart drafting, they have steadily, no other defense in the NFL has gone 6 straight years of solid improvement. This defense, by the way, if you've watched the preseason and late last year, will be the best they've had. Details matter. I'm going to give the Cowboys credit on this. I think one of the reasons they're playing hardball with Zeke is they're looking at that defense and they're going, we don't have to be as great offensively as everybody thinks. We can play Tony Pollard, average 4.6 yards a carry, and win a lot of football games with our defense. Here's another interesting number. If you think the Cowboys are smart and you think they pay attention to details, we know New England does. We know New England always avoids a crisis before a crisis occurs. Here's the other thing about Jerry Jones, Zeke, and the leverage. It is very difficult, unless you just throw a ton of money at it, to go from bad to great in an area. The first 3 games the Cowboys play this year, they play bad run defenses. Giants, Washington, Miami. I think Miami was like 31st. What does that tell you? If the Cowboys are as smart as I think due to their drafting, and drafting's all about details. Nobody's drafted more good young players than Dallas. Even when they did a trade last year, gave up a first-round pick, Amari Cooper, they were 7-2 once Amari and Dak worked together. All their moves work. They know their defense, this is going to be their best defense ever. They know they face, with a healthy offensive line, still arguably the best in football, they face lousy run defenses, and they can go 2-1 or 3-0, and Tony Pollard's going to average 5 yards a carry. Translation, less leverage for Zeke. I think they're smart. Jerry Jones is a smart cookie. Think about this. The NFL has 32 billionaire owners. Actually, Mark Davis and 31. Of all those billionaires, there's 2 billionaires that the rest of them listen to. Jerry Jones and Bob Kraft. These guys didn't luck out into their success. They didn't. Okay, Belichick had a losing record in Cleveland, and Bob Kraft saw something. He wasn't the hot coaching hire. He was a disaster with the media in Cleveland. He had a losing record in Cleveland. He bailed on the Jets. Belichick, a lot of people were done with Belichick. He was impossible to deal with in Cleveland. Go read the book about Belichick. It was ugly at the end in Cleveland. People didn't want to touch Belichick. Kraft saw it. I think Dallas knows our defense this year is stacked. It's the best it's been. And for 6 straight years, it's been fantastic. Have you watched it in the preseason? And I think they're looking at that schedule thinking, we face bad run defenses. They're going to get to Zeke. They're going to pay Zeke, but they're not paying him $17.5 million. I think this is a smart organization. And Jerry Jones, after the game last night, addressed it. He's ready. He's ready to play without him.
I'm operating as though right now it's going to miss regular season games. My entire expectation for what we're putting together as a team right now would anticipate with him holding out and not having made any training camp that he's going to miss games. I just accept that.
All right. By the way, I mentioned this yesterday. The Dallas schedule has all sorts of soft spots and mini vacations. 3 rebuilding teams to start. Soft with 2 New York rebuilding teams in a bye in the middle. The Rams at home late, 10 days to prep, and the Bills in a short week. I think Jerry's smart. I think they know, at least for the first month, the numbers add up. They can win and run the ball effectively without Zeke giving them leverage. Let me shift to this. Daniel Jones, once again in the preseason last night, looked amazing. I'm going to give you Daniel Jones' preseason numbers. They're almost cartoonish. They're like high school. He completed 85% of his throws, 29 of 34, 415 yards, 2 TTs, no picks. Pat Shurmur, we don't know if Pat Shurmur's a good head coach, but with Case Keenum, Eli Manning, Nick Foles, and Sam Bradford, all 4 have had significant statistical elevation under Pat Shurmur. But I think, and this is my belief, that Pat Shurmur and John Mara know after that bench Eli debacle with Ben McAdoo, they had to change the narrative. And they knew when they drafted Daniel Jones, there was going to be a little plan. And I'm going to give you the 3 steps to it. The first thing they did is they released a video of Daniel Jones in camp. Do you remember that? Slow motion, perfect throws, all on target. Came out, all of a sudden it was being reported, only a handful of people. Oh, actually no media there. He was just unbelievable. It was like a glossy video. Remember that video came out and people were just saying, oh my word, Daniel Jones. The second thing that came out, CBS Sports in May, breaks a story. Eli Manning does not look good. Woo! He threw a bunch of interceptions today that conveniently was leaked to the press. And then in the preseason this year, and this is to take nothing away from Daniel Jones, I don't know if you notice this, but most good teams do not play their offensive linemen in the preseason. The Crosstown Jets, who don't even have a great offensive line, they haven't played their offensive line starters. The New York Giants, have you noticed this? How much they've played their offensive line starters? Eli's played 28 snaps. That's it. The offensive line has played 60, the starters. Make sure Daniel Jones succeeds in the preseason. Why? Because when you're 1-4 or 2-5, you have now created momentum within the media and the fans that when the suggestion to bench Eli Manning comes out, WFAN radio in New York is, gotta be honest, guys, the guy was unbelievable in preseason. It matters. Narratives matter. Optics matter. The Giants behind the scenes released the video of Daniel Jones being perfect. Then a story leaks to CBS. Eli's really struggling. They play their offensive line starters through the preseason, double what most teams do to protect Daniel Jones. They give him good timing routes, things he'll do well. I mean, folks, 85% completion rate. These are throws quarterbacks make in their sleep. They have planted all of this knowing it's coming soon. It's a behind-the-scenes plan. By the way, ProFootballFocus.com, PFF.com. Sam Munson came on our show this week. He said, listen, if you really look at the film, Daniel Jones is not tearing it up. It's as almost if the organization is grooving his stats for the replacement 8 weeks from now.
Interesting, even his preseason grade hasn't been quite as good as I think the general perception of his play has been. When you really break it down throw by throw, and there's a bad fumble in there that we charge to him that won't show up in the box score, that kind of thing, he hasn't been quite as spectacular as I think a lot of people are thinking. But ultimately for the Giants, you've got to ask yourself, what are you losing by starting Daniel Jones? So, PFF wasn't in love with Daniel Jones as a prospect, but right now we'd be asking the question of why not start him week 1?
But again, when you really look at the play, the numbers are better than reality. I think the Giants have a plan. I think it's smart. I think Eli is mostly a shot fighter, elevated last year by Pat Shurmur, who's elevated Case Keenum and Sam Bradford and many quarterbacks. So that's where we stand today. Andy Reid is around the corner. Kansas City Chiefs coach. We are packed today. I think there's a couple of things happening in the NFL. I talk about New England always being kind of a step ahead of the league. Anybody notice? I saw a little bit of it last night. They're doing something at the end of last year and now. They are changing their offense. And by the way, they were the first team to go to the tight end in the NFL. Dual tight ends attack the middle of the field. New England now is doing something, and the rest of the league is not doing it as much. Very interesting. I hope you noticed it. If you noticed it, you also noticed their personnel acquisitions in the last draft until today. That's coming up. All right. I'm actually traveling after the show today, and that means I got to use luggage, and that means I use away luggage. Joy and I use this best luggage. I mean, I grew up with these old classic luggage companies, and then I found away luggage, and all right, all different. Every suitcase, hidden, removable laundry bag, dirty, clean clothes separated. A TSA-approved lock keeps everything safe. 4 spinner wheels, quiet in an airport. Carry-on, perfectly sized, fits into the overhead. Listen, special offer. Go to awaytravel.com/Colin. Get $20 off. All you got to do is enter the promo code Colin at checkout. And they're going to let you have it for over 3 months, 100 days. You're going to have it for 100 days. Check it out. Try it. Don't like it? Return it. Not going to cost you anything. awaytravel.com/Colin. They even have a TSA-approved battery you can order so you don't get caught in an airport during a delay and your phone dies. That's always a buzzkill. Away luggage.